Welcome back to the Mintner Method. I'm your host, Andrew Mintner, and on today's video slash episode, I'm going to dive into a Week 3 matchup between LSU and South Carolina. Now, to preface beforehand, this is just an insane matchup to me, mainly because normally I wouldn't even be covering this because I don't really feel like either of these teams are going to do much this year in all generality. But South Carolina is just kind of intriguing to me from the perspective that they went in and just utterly dominated Kentucky last week. And that doesn't really mean anything because, Kentucky is not good, nor have they really ever been good in football. Sorry to my buddy Sam. But it was kind of the way they dominated. So I wanted to look at the advanced statistics and to kind of get an understanding of that. So looking at it from a base level here, I have the advanced statistics we've been going over in the last few videos. They are 21st in predicted points per attempt overall on defense. And then they're 19th in allowing explosive plays. They are 13th in overall havoc rate, which is 27% of the time. And they're 13th in front seven havoc. So, just some really good metrics there. Also 19th in defending the pass. And so that is very, very eye-opening. It's not shocking to me because when we look at their returning production, they were 10th in defensive returning production from the 55th ranked S&P Plus defense last year. So that right there tells me that the potential for a giant jump defensively is there and was always going to be there for this year. Now, they've only played 2 games, mind you, so we can't really dive too far into it. But the thing that I think that is really standing out for them is in this metric here. So this is early down EPA. So this is kind of similar to a metric I've been looking at via Warren Sharp, who does a lot of NFL analysis. And he looks at the EPA on first and second down for teams because that is a very good predictive metric of how well a team is doing because it keeps them out of high leverage situations like third and fourth down, right? So if you can achieve first downs and big plays on first and second, it limits the amount of third downs you have, and so less high leverage situations. So pretty self-explanatory there. So right here, this is the defensive side of the ball. So they are third overall in their 2 games in EPA per attempt on first and second down. So they dominate from the passing standpoint, and they're pretty decent from a rushing standpoint, 45th. So the flip side to that is just how horrendous LSU is. Very bad from a passing standpoint and about average to a little below average from a rushing standpoint. So now this is a very small sample size also, so that needs to be said. The thing is, though, these were very good predictors of against the spread against the spread records last year. And to give you just a perfect example, starting out this year, teams who have ranked in the top 15 in either offensive EPA per attempt or defensive EPA per attempt, they are a combined 36 and 17 against the spread through 2 weeks. Now, obviously, those rankings are going to change over time because it's going to be more volatile. It's going to be less, secured in. But last year, the teams that ranked 15th or higher in either defensive or offensive EPA on early downs, they won at a 57% clip. Now, that's not astronomical, and I'm not here to say, oh, well, we're looking for this one stat where you can pick 80% of your games, because that's not fucking realistic. And we live here on planet Earth. So, but 57% is is above what you need to break even, and that's a good living for anyone who would do that full time, as a job. So, and any handicapper in the world would tell you that. So, this is a good indicator. And so, when we look at the offensive side of the ball, South Carolina is just not good, though. That's important to put into perspective. They're 89th, which is below average, but not completely unhinged, And then LSU is solid. So they're 31st, not great at running the ball, but that's kind of expected, and then very good at passing the ball. So this will be a clash of two strengths, especially when you're looking at it from the passing standpoint. So, and again, here on these two markers, front seven havoc allowed versus defensive front seven havoc. So we're going to see who comes out which side, right? Now, I think it's very important to note, though, LSU has not played teams that are going to produce havoc defenses. Like USC is not a team that is looking to produce havoc plays. They play a lot of soft zones. They're more of a keep the ball in front of you type defense. They've been like that forever, like through almost every era. And so looking here, this game against Nichols, which is the last game they played, so there's not really a lot we can take from this. But it is important to note, LSU only produced 17% havoc rate against a Nichols team. That's just not that's not what you need from the defensive side of the ball. And so now, great, from an opportunity standpoint, of course they did really well. This, though, is not that great. 4 opportunities, 3.5 points per opportunity. That's not great either. Not from a defensive standpoint against this type of team. So that's just not something I would want to come home to. So when we look at the other side of the ball, South Carolina's last game against Kentucky, they dominated 99% win expectancy, which they just they dominated every single facet. They had 4 opportunities. They only surrendered 6 points. Now, remember, an opportunity is where an offense crosses a defense's 40-yard line. So it's like an extended red zone, basically. So that really gives you more volatility and more of a range of outcomes. And so you can really see which teams are very good and which teams are very bad because you have a larger variable. Now, when we get down here, this is something that's insane, okay? A 38.6% defensive havoc rate. I don't care if it is against Kentucky. That's insane. Now, this right here is not good. From an offensive standpoint, you cannot have that. And that's why they've struggled offensively through these couple of games. But that's not shocking. They only beat, if you look here, they only beat Old Dominion, by 4. Now, this is a team that is going to be, led by their defense, and that's already shown through 2 weeks. Now, if we look at that Old Dominion game, just to kind of give us a little bit of a baseline, they were expected to win the game, 84% expectancy rate, and they just did not capitalize on these opportunities. 8 opportunities, and the offense just kind of stalled out. So that, you kind of, it's a little, leaves you a little leery. This right here, though, obviously, this is what you would expect against an Old Dominion team. LSU not producing something similar to this against Nichols is not good. That's when you're supposed to be stat padding, you're supposed to be showing out. You got guys getting several sacks. You're playing loose, you're getting after the ball, but they didn't. So that is kind of a little concerning and eye-opening to me. So one thing that I would take a look at here, when it comes to the returning production on the LSU side, that they lost a ton of offensive production. I mean, that's given. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., huge losses. And then from a defensive standpoint, they were a sieve last year, just terrible across the board. I don't need to tell you that. If you're an LSU fan, you know that. So they're trying to get better from that aspect, but I haven't really seen too much of that to start. Now, when we get to the offensive side of the ball for South Carolina, the overall efficiency is pretty bad. Yeah. But I'm not shocked by that, considering we just saw what, the Kentucky game looked like from allowing a havoc standpoint. This is a lot of red, not good. Not good. They're going to have to take advantage of LSU's horrendous first and second down EPA per attempt to put them in better positions to score more points. Now, the biggest thing for them was the quarterback play coming into the season. If I have it correct, they have Lenoris Sellers, who's a freshman who is playing. So when you're looking at that, they're obviously managing, game manager, 19 attempts per game. So they're trying to manage each game so he's not put in tough situations. Now, that's totally fine. And being that he's a freshman, there's more room for growth, in my opinion. You're picking up the game. I think he played as well as you can kind of expect. We look at our game log here. Very efficient against Kentucky. That's pretty solid. They didn't ask him to do a lot. He didn't really do a lot. But he was efficient when asked to throw the ball. And that's probably what the game plan is going to be here against LSU. I do think that being at home, they're going to have an edge. They're going to have, a chip on their shoulder. I don't really like that angle, that's the narrative, but I do think it does fit sometimes, and cliches are cliche for a reason. They're often true. So when you look at him here, 6.5. That is just an eerie line. And a lot of people, from a public perspective, are going to be like, I can get LSU minus 6.5. I don't know anything about South Carolina. I don't know who this quarterback is. They beat Kentucky. Kentucky's no good. They barely beat Old Dominion. Those are going to be the public talking points. And so, in my opinion, they have a ton of value here because they're going vastly overlooked. And Vegas usually doesn't put out bad lines, as they normally don't. And I think they are aware of how good this defense is and how well they have played and how bad the LSU defense is. So that's going to be it for today's episode/video. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe, like, comment on the video. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for new material, new topics, you can reach out to me on Twitter, or you can email me at themintnermethod@gmail.com. And other than that, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.